report claiming Donald Trump's businesses lost more than $1 billion. Does this kill his rep as a master of the art of the deal? Dr. Jill Biden is live on The View. Why she didn't want Joe Biden to run for president and what changed her mind.
My husband announced that he was running for president of the United States.
How she handled the accusations against her husband and preparing her family for a presidential race that's gonna get ugly.
We're calling him Sleepy Joe because I've known him for a while and he's a pretty sleepy guy.
Hump Day Hot Topics are in the house with Whoopi, Abby Huntsman, Joy Behar, Sunny Hostin, and Meghan McCain. Now, let's get things started.
Extra big welcome to the ladies with the rose headdresses.
Yes, it's very Frida
The headdresses are beautiful. Just wanted to point that out.
Is there a reason? Is that a Frida Kahlo reference?
Oh, Frida Kahlo.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wonderful.
You need the eyebrow.
Wonderful.
Where's the eyebrow? The unibrow that she had, yeah. She had that. Yeah.
Well, you look great. It looked great. I looked over and it was like, Rosa!
Yeah, very cute.
My 11th, 12th, 11th. Yeah, I've been here a long time. Long time. So we're going to go from that to this. You know, this is a headline that's become way too common in our country. Reportedly, 2 students opened fire at a STEM school, Highlines Ranch, in Colorado, killing 1 person and injuring 8. Now, details are still coming in, and we're probably going to talk a little bit more about this later on in the show with Dr. Jill Biden, who's been an educator for her entire career. So we'll talk about that, but we're going to change once again and talk about this.
Okay.
An epic topic, I feel. The New York Times is reporting that guy in the White House who maybe pretended to write The Art of the Deal back in 1987, actually lost more than $1 billion between 1985 and 1994, and didn't pay a dime in taxes for 8 out of those 10 years. Now, he's tweeting that it's a fake news hit job and that he was entitled to massive write-offs and renegotiations with banks. And I mean, my question is, could anyone here get away with doing that? When he first got elected and I was fetching about the fact that he had not paid any taxes, I said, you know, my mother used to sit at her table and try to figure out how to pay those taxes and get, I mean, every year she worked her tail off, my mom did. Everybody's mom and dad worked their butts off, and how do you get,
well, remember Leona Helmsley, who famously said only the little people pay taxes? Remember that?
Yes,
I was reading the report in the New York Times this morning. I can't decide if he's a fraud or a loser. Either one of those two things, because he was fraudulent in many ways. Look at Trump University, for example. And he also lost over $1 billion. And then one interesting point popped out at me, too, actually. One was that his father, Fred, never lost any money except when he invested in one of Trump's projects, one of his son's apartment buildings. Then Fred even lost money. And the other one is that there's a missing money. There's missing 53. Somebody gave him $53 million at one point. So he was in the not the red, the black. Yeah. Who gave him that money? Where'd that money come from?
It doesn't even matter. This guy didn't pay any taxes for it. How do you get away with not paying? I'm sorry. I'm pissed. I'm pissed.
I mean, maybe his base will resent that now. I don't know.
Well, but there was a lady here the other day who was talking about the fact that she has a little space, and she and her husband have a place in Chicago, and they rent it out, and you know, they usually get a little money back, and they take the family on a tiny little vacation. Nothing huge. She said not only did she not get anything back,
that's right, yeah.
but she can't go on vacation because she got to pay them now.
Yeah.
She's paying money, so I
actually think this is
crazy.
a really effective argument for Democrats, is that, look, he scammed the system for so long, he lost $1 billion, and I've never been a businesswoman, but $1 billion seems like a lot of money to lose from my perspective. But I will say,
did you
people
read that
like Bernie...
no one has ever lost that much money. He has lost more
Then
money
there you
than
go.
any
It's
other American.
There you go.
That's
but
quite
I
an
think,
accomplishment.
I think if you're Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren or Joe Biden right now, you can say, look, even though the economy is doing really well, right at this very moment, it's off the benefit of these big corporations and people like Donald Trump who've been able to game the system for so long. And this is, I think, the message that actually could be the kill shot going into our next election cycle.
I just wonder, will his base care? Because the economy is doing well, and he's being credited. I think exactly. I think independents may care, but I don't know if his base will care. I don't know if Republican voters will care. And then when I look at his track record, Joy, I think he's probably a fraud and a loser. I think he's both.
He's two
right?
treats in one.
I think he's two treats in one. It's like a combination package. Because if you look at some of his failures, Trump Airlines failed.
Yeah.
Trump Steaks failed. Trump University failed. Right? Trump Magazine, Trump Mortgage, Trump Beverage, Trump Vodka, Trump's travel site.
But you know what?
Trump casinos.
I don't mind a failure. I don't mind a failure.
I don't mind a failure. I mind a scam.
I mind a scam.
Yeah.
And the scam is what's really pissing me off.
Fraud
And
part.
I think
But let me just, if you look at the bigger picture, you could have been sitting on your butt for 10 years ordering clothes on Amazon and lose less money than he did in those 10 years, right? So the money that he got from his dad, if he just let it sit and do absolutely nothing with it, and just maybe invested it, he would have done better than actually.
But he's an aggressive loser.
But here's the other thing I would say on a personal note with Trump is this hits him more than anything else.
Yes.
This is where his insecurity lies. That's why he's tweeting about it, because
that's why he didn't want to show anybody.
Final pinpoint on that, when he was roasted by Comedy Central, the only rule was you couldn't make fun of him not having as much money.
Yeah.
That's the only
That's the thing that really triggered him with Rosie O'Donnell. Remember the day that she went off on him?
And is that why we can't see his taxes?
Probably.
Or his grades.
You know
what I would say to the Trump voter? I want to ask the Trump voter one question. Would you let him invest your money?
Well,
That's
I mean,
a no
if you're
for me.
But if you're going to go that far, why would you let him dictate how your taxes should go?
Well, that's
how
the
about
question.
that?
Yeah.
But
Or your
you have
country.
you have a thing.
I have a legal note. Trump's attorney, Charles Harder, issued the following statement to the New York Times. Your statements regarding Trump's tax returns from 30 years ago are highly inaccurate and based upon information that is demonstrably false.
Yeah.
Any story on this subject that is inaccurate and harms Trump's reputation would be defamatory and actual malice. You are on notice.
Well, the IRS begs to differ. I read that also.
We'll see if the IRS begs to differ.
They do.
I mean, isn't Mnuchin in charge of it?
Well, now. I'm talking about back then.
Facts
I'm
are
just
stubborn
saying.
things, though.
Facts
They
are a
sure
bitch.
are.
They come back and bite you right in the booty. We'll be right back.
Later, royal reveal. The first photos of Meghan and Harry's newborn are released. How they're breaking from royal tradition. Ciara, after selling triple platinum records, marrying a Super Bowl winning quarterback. Where does Ciara go to drop and debut her next big music video? On The View, of course. Woo, Friday. Don't miss Ciara. Exclusive, only on The View.
A migraine hope.
Dr. Jill Biden talks about the biggest challenges her family faces as her husband, Joe Biden, campaigns to take on President Trump in election 2020.
Welcome back. So, Duchess Meghan Markle and Prince Harry gave the world the first look at the newest member of the royal family today at Windsor Castle. And here's what they're saying about the little guy. Take a look.
I mean, I have the two best guys in the world, so I'm really happy. He has the sweetest temperament. He's really calm and...
Where he gets that from?
Yeah, and he's just been the dream, so it's been a special couple days.
We're just so thrilled to have our own little bundle of joy and be able to spend some precious times with him as he slowly starts to grow up.
I'll tell you what, though? The temperament of my 1-year-old was not the same on day 2 or 3 than it is today.
I know.
Well, no, it takes a minute.
It takes a hot second, yeah.
She's in love now with her baby.
Yeah, it's a
fall in love with
beautiful
the baby.
baby.
You do. You fall in love right away. What
They're all beautiful.
I loved that he was carrying the baby, and that they did this non-traditionally for the royals. And I loved that she showed everyone that this is what you look like right after you have a baby. You know, you still have, right, the little bit of a pouch.
Can I just say something? Because we're doing the same thing that we tell people not to do. Everybody's body does something different after a baby.
Well, I should say then, this is what I look like, except not as good in terms of the face. But I still had that pouch, and I think a lot of women think that perhaps, you know, your stomach is flat and you have a blowout. I looked really busted right after I had my kids, and I didn't want to have any pictures
but nobody was taking your picture.
Yeah,
You know,
I didn't want anybody to take pictures.
Eating stuff.
But you know what? I saw this thing on Daily Mail yesterday.
I'm still carrying the baby weight.
Yeah.
I really am carrying the baby weight. But,
me too.
But it's so true. The first time you look in the mirror in the hospital once the baby's out, you're like, I'm still very pregnant. But I saw this picture on Daily Mail yesterday of these 4 women that got together, and they've known each other for a year, and they said, this is what postpartum looks like.
I looked a lot more like
that. It was the first time I'd seen a photo like this, and what caught my attention was the comments that they received by posting that. There were women that wrote some pretty nasty things saying, is this an advertisement for why women should get tummy tucks? And how about dieting?
Yeah.
There were some, but there were obviously a number of
someone
people
who writes,
really.
how about dieting, after seeing someone who's just had a baby, you know it's a moron.
Yeah. And what did you look like after you had a baby?
You know, but here's the thing. Everybody's going to look different. Some people are tall and thin, and they may not have stuff hanging over, like, well, I don't know what you had. I still have stuff hanging over. Yeah, I kick it out the way all the time. But, you know, what we have to do is just to remind people that having your baby is you look like what you look like having your baby.
Yeah.
You're not going to look like anybody else.
Just be so grateful for health. I say this every day, like a healthy child, whatever. I just want to be like, and you and I talk about this, like we all do, but like I'm so grateful for my health every day. Really, I really every single day I'm grateful every morning. Can't we just celebrate health? These healthy women with healthy children,
to embrace,
and like
to embrace it. To embrace
And
it.
how incredible the woman body is to be able to create a child. I mean, for all of the hard things we go through, the body's an amazing thing.
Sometimes
it really is.
Yeah, but also, not everybody can do it this way.
Yeah.
So just know that you do what you can the best you can, and stop looking at ads from these folks who are writing. We'll be right back.
Up next, how does Dr. Jill Biden feel about critics saying her husband Joe Biden's too old to run for president? Is her family ready for President Trump's trash talk on the campaign trail? She's live on The View next.
Biden has a long road ahead of her on the campaign trail with her husband Joe to get you-know-who maybe out of the White House. And she's sharing now how she and her family got here in her new memoir, Where the Light Enters. Please welcome Dr. Jill Biden.
I'm well. What your perfume is. You smell lovely. Oh, thank you. You smell lovely. That's a good start.
Yeah. So I guess I should say congratulations.
You guess?
The family has jumped in.
Yeah.
And 2020 is going to be interesting. And you were apprehensive for a long time about this happening. What
happened?
What happened? What changed your mind?
Well, for the past couple months, maybe a year, more than a year, everywhere I went, people were saying, Joe has to run. Joe has to run. You have to get him to run. And at that point, I wasn't ready to run, but then things were moving so fast. And then Charlottesville happened, and, we were edging toward it. And then we called a family meeting, as we always do, and we pulled in our grandkids, and we had a meeting in our library, and we said to the kids, if you don't want to do this, we will not do it. And to a kid, I mean, my grandchildren said, Pop has to run, he has to do this. So we jumped in.
Yeah. A lot of people felt that way.
Yeah. We understand, everyone in your family has to have a say, and I'm glad you guys made the decision to run, but what were some of the factors that maybe you didn't want to run?
It changed. I mean, our life would change back again, completely, and so it would be just another switch. But I like to look at things in a positive way and think of all the good things that we can achieve and the positive direction we can take this country. And Joe has such a unique, terrific, leadership style where he brings people together. And so I like to look at it that way.
Anyone that's been on a campaign knows that you pay advisors to do their job, but it's the family that is sort of the unofficial, most important advisors. You're the one that wakes up with him whispering in his ear about things that you think he should do. We've had the debate at this table how we think he could best beat Trump. Do you think he needs to get down in the mud and dirty and go to his level, or are you telling him to rise above it to be the bigger person? What is your advice to your husband?
My advice is I don't think Americans want to hear all that vitriol and negativity. And, as Michelle says, when they go low, we go high. And
he did call him a clown the other day.
I know, I had to talk to him about that one.
Even if he attacks the family, is that when it can get personal? Does that change things?
Well, I can't imagine that. Look, Joe is not going to attack like that. I mean, it's just not who Joe is. And we're ready. We know. I mean, I don't know how. Everybody keeps saying it's going to get bad. It's going to get bad, and you're sort of stealing yourself. But my family, I think, is resilient. We've been in politics. My kids, my grandkids have never known anything but politics. It's not a job. It's a lifestyle. And I think we're ready, and we'll do it as we've always done it. We'll circle the wagons. This will be as family.
If he attacks the family, I want Joe to go after him because I do. Because I think that would be the human response, and Joe is a human guy, and he needs to go back at him if he attacks the family. I don't say that he should be, pugilistic throughout the whole campaign, but if that happens, come on. Go for the throat.
That's Joy's advice.
I don't know. What is the audience think? I just
sticking to it.
Joy Behar's Guide to Politics.
We've been talking about this, Dr. Biden. She's not moving. Neither is Megan. But I'm with you on it. We were so honored when your husband came to talk to us the day after he announced. And we talked about difficult topics, and we talked about the fact that he's a toucher, and that's how he connects with people. And some people have taken issue with it. And you even said when you started dating him, he was very affectionate with you, and you were taken aback by it because you weren't used to it.
No, his whole family. I mean, I put in my book the whole lot of them are huggers, and I had to get used to it because my family is. I mean, there's so much love there, but. My family wasn't as touchy, and so I did have to get used to that. But, Joe said, and I think, I think it's so courageous for these women to come forward. I have to say, I have been in the same spot where I felt that somebody was in my space. It happened a long time ago, and I didn't speak up. I mean, before. Years and years ago, women did not speak up. But
I've been
now,
in the same position, and I didn't speak up either.
I know, and then you feel guilty and you feel shame. But now it would be different. If anybody got in my space now, I would speak up. And so I think things have moved forward in a positive way. And Joe heard that message. He heard it loud and clear.
So Joe is the front runner right now. And I'm happy.
I'm so happy.
It's looking good. But the Democratic Party is very tricky right now. The year of the woman, they want a woman on the ticket. They want somebody of color. The year of the white man may be a thing of the past they would like. So Cory Booker has already said that he'll put a woman on the ticket. Has Joe made, we asked him this question and he didn't say anything, but is he thinking along those lines, you know, to satisfy that part of the base that really is into, go ahead.
You know, we just announced that we were running like 5 days ago, and now everybody's saying, who's he going to choose as his running mate? I mean, we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. We don't want to take anything for granted. But of course, I mean, a woman on the ticket or someone of color, of course. I mean, you have to look at everybody because it's what, you know, it's so great that so many different
people. That you have choices now.
A lot. Yeah, that you have choices now. Absolutely.
And people want to serve.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, Jill, you admit that you are not a natural political spouse, even though you always looked very natural to me at it. And although your family looked picture perfect, you said that you don't always feel as confident. What are you wrestling with, and do you still feel that way?
You know, when I got into politics, you have to remember, when I married Joe, I was 25 years old. And I had a ready-made family. I don't know whether your audience knows, but Joe had lost his wife and daughter in an automobile accident. So, and he had 2 boys, Bo and Hunter, who survived the accident. And so I came into this, and so it was, you know, just one of those things where it was a lot. It was a lot to take on. And then so then I went to that level. I became a Senate spouse, and then Joe became vice president, and then, you know, I'm a teacher. I don't know whether you know that, but I'm used to like being. I'm a teacher. So, and that took it to a whole new level. Yeah. So then I was like, instead of being in my little classroom, you know, talking to 25 people, it was like hundreds of people or thousands of people. Yeah. It's hard to get used to that.
My mom had a very similar experience.
Yeah. I bet she did. So, and your mom looked very natural and beautiful out there on the trails and very confident. Thank you. So, you know, sometimes, I mean, you sort of have, we have self-doubt.
You're human. You're human.
Yeah.
Well, she doesn't have that issue right now because we're all going to come right back with more with Dr. Jill Biden.